Alright guys, it's been a long while, but here we are working on the 3rd gen Prius, and we're going to do preventative maintenance. The car has already 281,000 miles. It seems from talk on the internet that people typically replace these around 150, so we're a little overdue. But here we're just taking a look at the part itself. It's an Eisen. It actually refers to the original Toyota part number right there, and you can see it's indeed made in Japan. And we'll crack it open here so you can check it out. Nice, made in Japan. Good stuff. And it's electric, so there you go. Okay, now we're going to access the disconnect plug, the service plug for the big battery, and then also disconnect the 12-volt auxiliary battery. And you just do that by taking all these trim pieces out. Or I should say you access it by taking these pieces out. And this stuff just lifts right out real easy. Whoop. Alright, there's the disconnect plug for the big battery, and then there's our auxiliary battery right there. Alright, now we're gonna disconnect the service plug by unlocking it, and then you swing this arm out and it basically pries the plug right out. Alright, now we're gonna disconnect the auxiliary battery. There's actually a little access panel. You just squeeze these tabs, and then that gives you more room to get in and disconnect the cable. I'm just using this little 10mm ratcheting wrench. Gets into tight places nicely. There you go. Just set that off to the side. Now let's put the rag on. Is that what the rag's for? There we go. No contact. Alright, one other thing we're going to mention is that, well, you know, this trunk opens electronically, so now that everything's disconnected, we're going to leave it open so we don't have some situation where we have to manually pop it open. So it's easier just to leave it up. Alright, next we're going to remove the protective panel under here. And it's held in with a bunch of plastic clips, which I lubed up with WD-40 to help get them out. And then there's also a few 10mm bolts here. You can refer to this procedure in our inverter drain refill video that we already made. Alright, now here is our drain plug for the inverter coolant. It's a 10mm Allen or hex. And there we go. Just crack it loose with my ratchet. Hey, do we need to take the cap off up above?
Later.
Alright, let's let it flow. Alright, we're going to remove the reservoir cap to get the coolant flowing out. There we go. First things first, just going to take out this little plastic cover because it's blocking this bracket here. This pick tool is too big. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then on this vehicle we have a previously installed oil catch can setup, so we're going to take that out of the way first. Most people aren't going to probably have this, but it's a good eBay setup. Well, that'll, yeah, take that out. Okay, next we're gonna get this bracket out of the way. It's plastic, and it's bolted on there, and then the harness clips onto it here, and then there you go, there's that one. There we go. Alright, so getting this harness free is a little tricky. There's a ground wire here, which I'll disconnect just because I don't want to rip it. And then, so there's also a clip here, which you can squeeze from below with some small pliers like these. That's what I did. And then there's just a simple push tab that unclips the harness up here and down here. It slides out from this plastic bracket. Our bracket is kind of breaking, so we're just pushing it off to the side. And then when you need to pull this plug down here, all right, so getting this one, this is the tricky piece. There's this little slot here, and you can put your pick tool in and then twist it toward the car, if that makes sense, toward the back of the car. And then you can push out and it basically hinges itself. There you go. So it's a hinge locking type of plug. I guess that's what you would call that. Okay. Then we got to take the inverter itself out. Oh, disconnect all the plugs. All right, next I'm going to take off this cover. This is really just a panel that protects the actual electrical connections for the 4 orange wires. Be careful not lose any of these. NASCAR. Alright, so that just pops off. It's got a little rubber seal in there. Should still be plenty good. Alright, so next is a safety precaution. I'm using the multimeter to just make sure there's no voltage coming through. And, well, the meter is slightly out of calibration. But the number basically doesn't change. So we're good. Okay, now that we checked and saw only millivolts coming out of this, which is basically nothing, we're gonna disconnect the orange wires by starting with the actual, these are the actual electrical connections inside here. And then these other bolts are just support brackets. Just wanna carefully, there's those. Well, I think if you want to be on the more cautious side, this would be the first one to disconnect right here. This is the main power coming in. So you got terminal bolts inside, and then you have support brackets on the outside. Oh, then, let's see. Oh, it's got a support right here. So you're going to slide it off the inverter reservoir support bracket. Then it'll come out nicely. Alright, these are different bolts, so we'll keep those separate. Now, yeah, see, now we can pull out the other 2 plugs. Careful not to bend anything here. We'll just tuck these out of the way. Alright, so then we also have this AC plug on the side. It's also held in with, yes, you guessed it, 10mm bolts. So there's the retainers, and the same thing, there's the actual terminals inside. Just be careful with those bolts. Alright, luckily they're all the same. Alright, let's see. Should be able to wiggle this out now. Oh, we gotta get this support piece out of the way. There we go. Alright. Okay, so there's all these wires hanging around, so we're just bungeeing them out of the way just to help make room so we can actually pull out the inverter. Alright, so one of the next things we're doing is we need to disconnect the coolant lines. There's one on the passenger side, and one on the driver's side. And they're held in with these green locking clips, which you can maybe use like a pick tool or maybe a pocket screwdriver. And you gotta unlock these clips. You just pull them back. There you go. See, so it's in the unlock position now. It popped back like maybe, I don't know, what is that, like 1/4 inch or something. So, and then I guess we just wiggle it off. It's hard hard to reach in there. There we go. Don't want to break anything. Oh, there we go. Haha. Okay, so same type of clip on the driver's side. And then, whoop, pick tool wants to slide out, but it's a tight fit, especially with our oil catch can there. Or the bracket. Okay, so getting this driver's side hose was a little tricky because the clip was getting stuck. But if you have trouble, you can reach underneath, and actually with your finger you should be able to pull, because this clip is like a U shape or a C shape, whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, it has tabs on either end of the U that lock into the fitting. And then so once you pull it back, it'll snap into its unlocked position. And then it's a matter of wiggling it off. Oh, there you go. Easy. All right, so the last part here before we unbolt the inverter converter is we need to disconnect this electrical connection in the back. To make a little more room, I'm gonna take this bracket out of the way and set it aside. All right, this is the tricky part. So there's tabs on either side of this little cover. It's actually like a protective cover. So you pull away on this tab, and then you can pry out on the other tab. I think I got it. There we go. You kind of got to do this simultaneously. And then you'll reveal another 10mm nut. Okay, so now we're going to take out the 10mm nut. Just be careful. It can be easy to drop this in there. Okay. All right, guys. This was a tricky one. It's a matter of unbolting from this terminal here, but then there's also this clip, and when we pried it out, we actually broke a piece of this component, which I think it should still be okay. But if you can, try to pry these apart, and so this tab stays where it's supposed to and doesn't get broken off. So yeah, you're gonna need to pry in between here and pull the tab off. Anyways, we got it off one way or another. Okay, now we're gonna take out the 3 mounting bolts. There's one there, there's another one here, and then another one on the driver's side, and then of course the bracket out in front. I don't want to lose this thing, it's way down there. Okay, there's one. Sorry, bumping the camera. Okay. Woo! Okay, so then we're going to take out these 2 bolts. I mean, you could do this pretty easily, but we realize it has to be done because the reservoir is in the way. We're going to take out this support tray. Alright, so we removed 5 bolts, and they're going to be these 2 down below, these 2 up here, and then the 5th one is hiding underneath the inverter coolant reservoir. Oh, then there's this hose clipped into it. Oh jeez, what the fuck? It's stuck to it. Well, it takes a zip tie. Yeah, brittle plastic, watch out. Oh shit, more's coming out. Oh, there's this one here. There you go. Whee! Okay, so we're gonna disconnect this coolant line here so that we can get this pump out of here. I'm just using these clamp pliers that are supposed to, say, lock it open, so it's easier to get it out. Let's see if we can knock it loose. There we go. These are cool pliers. They grab hoses. Okay, let's put that aside. Alright, so then we have 3 bolts to take out, except the trick is these 2 are from the bottom and this one is from the top. Okay, then we're going to do the top hose. There we go. Nope, got that one. Alright, 2 hoses disconnected. Then there's this one connector. This looks just like a fuel injector connector. Oh no, I'm sorry, emission coil connector. There, see? There we go. So yeah, make sure that this clip is unlocked, because you can easily yank this out and break the locking tab. Ooh. Okay. Alright, so here's one of the bottom bolts. Alright, here's the 3rd bolt. Oh, ooh, look at that. Alright, so we're just comparing the old to the new. We were going for an original one, but went with the aftermarket version. If you actually look at these 2 pumps, they're the same pump. It's just that on the aftermarket one, they scratched out the Toyota part number. The original number's right there. I'm spilling more coolant. But yeah, so it looks like we got a match. So what you have to do is you have to sandwich it between the 2 brackets. The 2 bolts that go from underneath go into this bracket, and then, but we're going to start with the one on top. See, that moved. Okay, that one's started. We'll line up the other ones and then tighten them down. Okay, so I'm trying to do this all with one hand. It's kind of tricky, but at least I got it started, so that's good. Is it going in?
Yes.
Doesn't feel like it. It feels like it's going nowhere.
Turn the other one. Here, you want to see?
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, this is hard to do. Just one person. Okay.
Good.
Oh yeah, it's going in. Okay. Aha. It's actually tightened. Okay. plug it in. Go, attaching the hoses. All right, so now we're gonna put in the support bracket. Just be careful. You're gonna have to work it around a lot of hoses and connectors and all kinds of things. Just take your time positioning it into place. There we go. So you can see the 4 bolts there and the one in the back. So let's get them going. Okay, I'm just going to try to line, you can see the marks where the bolts were. I'm just try to line them up. Yeah, because that one, it looks like it lines up with where its original spot was. But see, I can see that this one is moved over. That's why I didn't want to tighten it yet. So yeah, I'm just going to like try to, yeah. See, I was going to try to line up this one so that it's all straight the way it was. There, yeah. Now it looks like everything's originally, where it originally was. Okay, looks good. So the bracket that was supporting this inverter coolant line, it was so brittle it just snapped apart. So we're just gonna replace that with a zip tie. And I just ran it through the hole that used to have the support bracket in it. Don't put it too tight. All right, clip it. Dink. All right, now we're gonna put this inverter converter back in. Let's try to get everything out of the way before you drop it down there, which can be tricky. There we go. Okay. And this is the front one. So I have 4 bolts because there's one from the bracket and then the 3 that hold the assembly down. Okay, that one's going. Oh, one more. There. All right. So one thing I noticed is that it's easier to leave the reservoir unbolted because you can pull it out of the way when you're trying to reinstall this battery cable right here. And then the cover snaps over it. Then we can put that reservoir back down. As you can see, these hoses are really close. So now that we've attached the electrical cable down there, I'm gonna put the reservoir back in with the two 10mm bolts. Okay, so now we're reattaching the hose from the reservoir, and it wiggles onto the fitting and then locks in place. Okay, so when you push this reservoir hose on, you want to make sure it's fully seated. There's two O-rings in there, and then when it's set in place, there you go. Then you can snap the retaining clip, the green piece. So that one's good now. Oh, and then there's also a support bracket for the other hose, and all you got to do is push that into the bracket. All right, now we're doing the hose on the other side of the inverter, on the engine side here. There you go. See, it popped in all the way, and clip went on. It moves freely. So yeah, no binding. It looks good. So we got to hook up what I believe is the AC connector here. Just be careful when you're lining this stuff up, because you got tabs to align with the terminals, and then of course your support bracket or retainer bracket, whatever you want to call this. And it's going to use those same 10mm bolts that there's about 30 of. Sorry, this bracket is in the way because it doesn't seem to want to come out without breaking, so we just pushed it on the side. Ooh, so we gotta be careful. Okay. Alright, so this one is a simple push it in. Oh, make sure it's pushed in before you lock it down. Alright. There we go. So you might have to play with it, wiggle it, make sure it's fully seated, because this lock won't work properly unless it's seated where it's supposed to be. We have this bracket to put back into place, held in with that 10mm. And then there's a support for some wiring down here, that side plug. And then there's another support for the harness here, and then a clip on the side. Then we'll just tighten this one down. Okay, now there is another support bracket that needs to get bolted back down for these high voltage wires here. Okay, so I'm fitting all the big orange connectors back into place. Just be careful, wiggle them in nice and easy. Don't force anything. Okay, then we gotta start bolting them down. Now these are all these bolts. You gotta do everything by hand. I'm checking by hand now. Alright, now we're putting the cover on. Be careful, this connector does need to line up properly. There we go. Alright, so one thing I should note is that there's basically two different types of bolts here. All of the bolts that go into the inverter housing don't have washers, and the ones that mount the reservoir, the support bracket for the two orange wires, and the mounting points for the inverter converter assembly and the bracket in front, those all have washers on them, and they're a little bit longer. And then this is also a short non-washer bolt for this bracket. And then you also want to note that the little short E-bolt is for the ground. And then also a non-washer bolt goes right there to support this bracket. And I think that's about it. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good there. Okay, so we're reconnecting. Oops, careful for that ground wire. Catch can. Alright, so we've got our oil catch can hooked back up. Probably need to replace this hose. It was a little difficult. But now we're going to go back and put the drain plug in with the, well, newish gasket. So we've got the drain plug tightened back down, and next we're gonna put the cover back on underneath, which you can also refer to our inverter drain and refill video for the instructions on that. It's just a bunch of plastic clips and 10mm bolts, and then we're gonna go up top and fill the system up and bleed it out. There we go. It's got two prongs that hook under there, and then I think we're missing a clip. But we got two right now. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to reconnect the power. Make sure you get it in properly and then locked. Then we're going to reconnect our auxiliary power. Just tighten that down. Alright, then we just got the little protective panel to put back. Snaps in. And the battery cover. Alright, now we're going to use some Toyota Super Long Life and fill up the system. Oh, whoop. It's going to be too much. good. We got spill free. Oh, there it's going down.
You gotta keep putting it in.
Yeah. Just don't want to spill. Very thirsty. Gotta fill up that little pan down there.
Where stop?
Okay. All right, so next we're gonna power up the vehicle to help bleed out the inverter coolant system. All right, so we went through the process of powering up the vehicle and the coolant went way down. So we're gonna continue to fill the system, and then we're gonna repeat the process of powering it up to bleed the air out of the system. And we gotta like remove the bottle, try to take it out. Yeah, it's good. That good?
Keep going.
Just pull that in. Whee! Nice and full. Try it one more time. They move?
Do it again.
Do it again?
I think it's done.
Okay. Seems like it's staying.
Yeah.
All right, so right now we're running the engine, which I did by just stepping on the brake, hitting the power button. The engine powered, or sorry, the vehicle powered up, and then you just step on the gas pedal and it'll make the gas engine come on. Yeah, we're watching it for any more air bleeding out into the tank. We're gonna give it a little while, let it warm up, and then once everything is set, we'll recheck the level. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it's informative and helpful. We try to go over some of the details that we weren't finding out on the internet. So anyways, next we're gonna do the engine, water pump, and thermostat. So look forward to that.